June 6, 1944, before the sun rose. The night of June 5, 1944, was unusually quiet across the English Channel. The sea was dark, restless, and cold. Thousands of Allied soldiers sat silently inside landing craft, gripping rifles, helmets pulled low, hearts pounding. Some prayed, some stared at the floor. Others thought of home, wives, parents, children they might never see again. They did not know if they would survive the next few hours. This moment would soon become known as D-Day, the largest amphibious invasion in human history. For years, Nazi Germany had occupied Western Europe. France had fallen. Cities were crushed under German boots. Millions lived in fear. The Allies knew there was only one way to end the war. They had to invade Nazi-occupied Europe, and it had to happen now. More than 156,000 Allied troops from the United States, Britain, Canada, and other nations prepared to storm the beaches of Normandy, France. They would face heavily fortified German defenses, machine guns, mines, artillery, and soldiers ordered to kill without mercy. The invasion plan was simple and terrifying. Land on 5 beaches, break through German defenses, establish a foothold in Europe. Failure was not an option. The waiting. Inside one landing craft, a young American soldier clutched a photograph of his mother. Another whispered the Lord's Prayer. Seasickness spread as waves slammed against metal hulls. The smell of fuel, sweat, and fear filled the air. Above them, thousands of planes roared through the sky. Paratroopers jumped into darkness behind enemy lines, many landing far from their targets. Some drowned. Some were shot before they hit the ground. At sea, warships opened fire. The horizon lit up as naval guns bombarded German bunkers. The earth shook. Then the order came. Lower the ramps. Omaha Beach, where hell opened. Of all 5 beaches, Omaha Beach would become the bloodiest. As the landing craft approached, German machine guns began firing. Bullets tore through metal. Men fell before they could even stand. When the ramps dropped, soldiers ran straight into gunfire. Some were killed instantly. Others were wounded and drowned under the weight of their gear. Bodies piled up in the surf. American soldiers crawled forward inch by inch, hiding behind obstacles meant to tear ships apart. Medics ran through gunfire to save the wounded. Officers were killed. Command broke down. For hours, it seemed impossible. Many soldiers believed they would die on that beach, but they kept moving. Courage under fire. Small groups of soldiers began to push forward, without orders, without support. They climbed cliffs under fire. They destroyed bunkers with grenades. They dragged wounded men to safety. One soldier later said, "I wasn't brave. I was just afraid to stop." By midday, American forces began breaking through. The impossible was slowly becoming possible. The beach was taken, at a terrible cost. Across Normandy. Meanwhile, other beaches saw success. Utah Beach, American troops advanced quickly. Gold, Juno, Sword beaches, British and Canadian forces pushed inland. Paratroopers regrouped and attacked German positions from behind. By nightfall, the Allies had landed tens of thousands of troops on French soil, but victory was far from certain. The fight for Normandy had just begun. The human cost. By the end of D-Day, over 4,400 Allied soldiers were dead. Thousands more were wounded or missing. German losses were heavy, but unknown. The beaches were covered with wreckage, blood, and silence. Yet one thing was clear: the Allies had returned to Europe. Holding the line. The days after D-Day were brutal. German forces counterattacked fiercely. Towns were destroyed. Civilians were caught in the crossfire. Fields became graveyards. American soldiers fought through hedgerows, dense walls of earth and trees perfect for ambushes. Every step forward was paid in blood, but slowly the Allies advanced. Why D-Day changed history. D-Day marked the beginning of the end for Nazi Germany. From Normandy, Allied forces pushed across France. Paris was liberated. German defenses collapsed. Less than a year later, Hitler was dead, and the war in Europe was over. But D-Day was more than a military victory. It was a moment when ordinary men did extraordinary things. Farmers, students, factory workers, fathers, sons. They did not fight for glory. They fought for freedom. Stories that still haunt America. Many veterans never spoke of D-Day again. Those who did described nightmares that never faded. The sound of waves haunted them. The faces of fallen friends stayed with them forever. One veteran said, "I left part of myself on that beach." Families waited months to learn if loved ones survived. Letters arrived late or not at all. America would never forget June 6, 1944. Legacy. Today, the beaches of Normandy are peaceful. White crosses stretch across green fields at the American cemetery. Each one marks a life lost. Visitors walk quietly. Flags wave in the wind. The sea looks calm. But history remembers what happened there. D-Day proved that courage can change the world and that freedom is never free.